Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And if you're ever doubting your investment into XRP, this is what is about to play out over the coming months. The XRP endgame. Everything is aligning at once. This comes from Pumpius. DTCC, $2 to $4 quadrillion annual settlements. That is already put in motion. That's going to be massive once that value starts getting moved utilizing cryptocurrencies, because I think it's going to be a handful of cryptocurrencies, not just XRP, but XLM and XDC and so on. Stablecoin, RLUSD, that's going to continue to gain momentum all throughout the rest of this year and all throughout next year as well. Government policy like the Clarity Act, that is still going to get put in place by the end of 2025. Fed access, Fed master account. Most likely that will happen early 2026. ETFs, 20 spot XRP ETFs filed. Those are set to go live next month. Then ISO in November. He also cites DNA protocol. I am not a fan of DNA protocol, but I know that's part of the new financial system. That's going to play a very big role going forward. But all of this is aligning over the next couple of months during alt season. So before any of this was talked about, alt season in 2025 was supposed to get XRP somewhere between $13 and $27. Now you pile all of this on top of that, we are easily going to 3 digits. I still think this is going to be the run where XRP makes it above $100. Conservative, I think $50 plus, but I do believe we could go above $100. This comes from Eleanor Tourette, following up on my tweet last night about the banking GOP roundtable that was held this morning. In addition to Charles Hoskinson from Cardano, Ripple, and A16Z, I'm told representatives from Kraken, Coinbase, MultiCoinCap, Paradigm, and Circle were also in attendance. Meeting lasted about an hour and a half, and they focused on refining language in the market structure draft. It's nice to see that crypto companies are also involved in the regulations that are going to get put in place later this year. And Monica Long must have been there as well. And she says, blockchain is a financial revolution, but has far from reached its potential, assimilating into existing infrastructure, mostly held back by legal uncertainty in the largest economy in the world. The good news is that's rapidly changing. First the Genius Act, then Clarity, and now the Responsible Financial Innovation Act taking shape in the Senate. It's incredible to see the outreach from lawmakers to our industry to listen to practical applications with a commitment to write good laws that will protect consumers, foster innovation, and flex with time. Thank you for your leadership on RFIA. And she was at the round table meeting in Washington as well. You know, you could see how the U.S. is going to really push ahead over the coming months. I'm telling you, we had to play catch up with the rest of the world. The rest of the world, nothing slowed down while Biden was in the White House. In the rest of the world, they were pushing ahead. Now the U.S. has to play catch up. As of 2025, approximately 90% of the banks in the U.S. and Europe have adopted or started exploring blockchain technology. Take a listen to what Tom Lee says here.
And then I think, financials I think are still important because I think that they're going to re-rate more like technology stocks. Goldman and JP Morgan are basically technology companies now. And as they embrace the blockchain, they're going to become more streamlined and less employee dependent, much more AI driven.
So it looks like the banks are now emerging as tech companies because the banks, they're coming on board with the blockchain. Blockchain is going to be utilized by the banks. But he also mentioned AI as well, because AI is going to make the future of banking fully automated. But why is this transition happening? This comes from Smoke. Through DLT-based solutions, players such as Ripple and Stellar are challenging the correspondent banking model. So even back then, in 2018, they already seen Ripple and Stellar as major disruptors for the banking system. You fast forward to 2025, and most of the big banks are getting involved with blockchain now. They're embracing it. They have no choice, because if they don't embrace it, they're going to get left behind. I think a lot of these regional banks and smaller banks, I think they're going to struggle to embrace crypto. Maybe they end up being swallowed up by the big banks. Who really knows? But I know most of the banks, they're very reluctant still to get involved in this space. And any of their competition, the competing banks that get involved with crypto, they're going to get the upper hand time and time again. But these big financial institutions may actually be building out in the background. Take a listen to this. This actually makes a lot of sense.
There is pressure from the biggest money makers in the world.
Okay, let me answer it this way. Let me say this. Yeah, we have talked since 2018 to the biggest merchants
Yeah.
pretty much every bank. Most folks in the sector, even those that come out publicly, and I won't name names, but I think we know them. Bitcoin's horrible, this technology is bad. Every one of them.
Warren, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about the industry now. I'm talking about banks.
Well, there's many of those. Let's go with Ray Dalio. Let's go with Jamie Dimon. Yes.
I want to say this, though. Every one of those companies has had a department looking at blockchain, looking at crypto, building it out for themselves, how they're going to take advantage of it. Every one of them did. Some in black ops sites away from their primary office.
Larry Fink. Yeah.
They've been doing this the entire time. They're all ready for the launch. They know it's coming. I don't care what they say publicly. They're all building for it. They're all
so this is misdirection at its highest.
Absolutely. 100%. They all know this is done. This technology is superior, and folks know it. They know it internally, and what they say publicly is maybe they're doing it for their own reasons. I could care less what those reasons are, but the bottom line is this is going to win the day. It already has won the day. It's a matter of how it scales.
So he's saying that crypto already won the day, and he's thinking that BlackRock and these other companies, most of the biggest merchants, they already have a separate department that just gets them involved with crypto. In other words, they're already building out on it, but in the mainstream media, they're telling you crypto's bad. It's only used for illicit activity, and crypto should be outlawed in the United States. Meanwhile, they're building out their entire crypto and blockchain journey in the background. And I think he's 100% right. Larry Fink, he was not a fan of Bitcoin. He said it publicly multiple times. Then all of a sudden, he embraced Bitcoin. Why? Because he figured out how to make money off of it. And they want to make sure that they can buy it cheap. They're not going to come out and say, oh, BlackRock's going all in on Bitcoin, because then the price of Bitcoin would skyrocket. No, they come out, they say they hate it, they load up on it, then they embrace it in the mainstream. Then the price goes up and they all cash in. And in the background, I think a lot of these biggest merchants and these biggest financial institutions, I think they've been building out on the blockchain longer than we think. I think this was happening all throughout the time where the crypto crackdown was happening as well. Ripple and Bank of America, you don't say. So the UK and US are set to announce deeper cooperation on digital assets such as cryptocurrencies, according to familiar people with the matter, bringing Britain closer to the U.S. after Donald Trump embraced the industry. The drive to build closer transatlantic coordination in digital assets and capital markets was discussed on Tuesday between the Chancellor and the U.S. Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. The idea was debated at a meeting whose attendees included crypto companies Coinbase, Circle, and Ripple, and banks Citi, Bank of America, and Barclays. You see what goes on, in the background. A lot of these meetings are taking place. I think Ripple is having more meetings with the president than we know of. Because the president, when he wants to figure something out or get a time frame on something, he's going to go to the source. So if Ripple was meeting with the president in 2024 and the narrative shifted away from a central bank digital currency towards a stablecoin, I think that's why RLUSD was created. Then they're going to utilize something like XRP to move that RLUSD all around the world, very fast and very cheap. But we won't hear about that happening until it's already happening. These meetings that go on behind closed doors, we don't know exactly what the context is. We just get a rough idea of what's going on, is what I'm saying. I think we are way beyond where people think we are as far as the digital dollar and XRP moving it. I think everybody's so focused on 2030, and I think we're only a year or two away from that happening. And first she met with Paul Atkins to discuss the Clarity Act. Now she's meeting with the IMF chief economist. The change has come. They are about to adopt the new standard that will move trillions daily, XRP. The IMF has been involved with Ripple and XRP since 2016. Christine Lagarde is the one that really embraces Ripple's technology and XRP. She not only did it at the IMF, but she's also doing it at the European Central Bank. And I think she also likes to bring these people up to where we are as far as that happening. In other words, she meets with these people and say, listen, this is what's going to be used for cross-border payments. This is the future, because she is a power player in Europe. She's also still a very big power player when it comes to the IMF. Yes, Ripple opened an office in Ireland with the goal of launching services to serve the wider European market. This comes from Smoke, and of course, that's documented. Ripple payments designated as an alternative blockchain payment method expected to be implemented in the EU by October 2025. Ripple already has all the rails in place all throughout Europe. Ripple was already on the path to moving the European digital euro way before these announcements ever dropped. Ripple got put on that path all the way back in like 2014, 2015, 2016. What we're seeing now is the end game. Everything's now coming to the point where it's ready to go live. That could also play a factor on the price of XRP during this alt season. Brad Garlinghouse on Ripple's expansion and early beginnings. Trialing new tech. He says, let's try stuff. If it doesn't work, that's okay. Let's try again. Take a listen to this clip. It's absolutely incredible.
We weren't trying to be a consumer outreach play. We wanted to play at kind of the infrastructure enterprise side of things. And early on when I joined the company, and David predates me by a couple of years, when I joined Ripple, we were trying to do a number of things around smart contracts with Codius, around identity. Just listening to David speak this morning, it's interesting to see thematically how some of these things are still relevant and still omnipresent. But we decided to really focus on payments at the time. As David has suggested, we should have subsequently kind of expanded beyond that. We now have, at the time when I joined, we had about 80 people. Now we have hundreds and hundreds of people. And so I feel like we can do more things. But I will say, I think the culture of Ripple, I hope we continue. And frankly, the culture of the whole XRP community, which has just been phenomenal, is like, how do you create small groups who get a lot of shit done, as opposed to, layers and layers? Like, let's try stuff. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. We try again. We built something called Liquidity Hub, I guess 3 years ago, which really didn't play out the way we thought. And some people say, oh, we failed. Like, we succeeded by trying something new in a nascent, exciting space. It didn't develop the way we thought it would. We decided that's not the right place for us to focus. Let's put those resources somewhere else.
Just to clarify, I'm usually on the do fewer things side of that argument.
So what sort of technical impediments do you think the ledger has faced over the past since the origins, and how have you overcome those?
There really have not been that many technical impediments. It's kind of surprising how well these things work technically. I mean, they're not infinitely scalable. There's always fear of security issues, but there haven't really, at least in the XRP ledger space, knock on wood, we really haven't had technical problems. I think the biggest problem, and I talked about it a little bit just a few minutes ago, because of the XRP ledger's design, it's different from other blockchains in some important ways.
So when they decided to build the XRP ledger, David always made sure that the XRP ledger was different from other networks. He wanted it to be better than Bitcoin, better than everything else that's out in the market. But because of that, the XRP ledger actually is better at doing what it's built to do, move value. They don't have smart contracts, so the payments are cheaper and they're faster. And Ripple tries things, and sometimes things fail, like Brad said, and they move on to other things. But in the XRP community, if something fails at Ripple right away, oh, XRP's a scam, Ripple's a scam, you realize that we are so early into this space. We beat the institutions here. Now we're about to see the final product on a lot of things. XRP ledger, people are building their central bank digital currencies on the XRP ledger. The white papers that the BIS puts out, it's based on RippleNet technology and XRP. Once this kind of stuff goes live, you're not going to worry about, oh, well, ODL Hub failed. You're going to forget all about that, because the price of XRP is going to be astronomical. That's the difference. And you heard Brad at the beginning of that clip that they weren't retail focused. They were focused on enterprise adoption and focused on cross-border payments, because XRP really wasn't built for retail. It just so happened we got our hands on something that's going to be worth a lot of money long before the price really took off, long before the institutions got here. And that's why it's so important not to sell your XRP too soon. But until it all happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.